Hey everybody, welcome to Weddings Done Right Radio, the how-to for the I do. This radio show was created because there's so much information out there in the world about weddings and planning weddings that we thought we would bring this great information to you. I am Jody Harris, the CEO of Fun, and I am broadcasting from Sight and Sound Events, brand new penthouse location. That's right, we're not at World Headquarters Studio anymore. We are in the penthouse, baby. And fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, the wedding capital of the world. And I got to tell you, I am super excited about today's show. Today's show is going to be the most amazing show on the planet because I wish that there was a show like this for me when I was planning my wedding, because today we have not only two brides, but a groom. These are newlyweds that have recently got married within the last year and a half, and they are here today to share their advice with you. So what I want you guys to do is take out the notebook, take out the pen, because there's going to be a lot of great information, a lot of great takeaways in this show. It's going to open your eyes to questions that you should ask. It's going to open your eyes to things that you should do. So it's really going to be a lot of fun. So I definitely want you to sit back, relax, and let's get started with today's show. So first, I'd like to introduce Susan. Say hi, Susan.
Hello, everybody.
And Susan, when were you married?
October 19th, 2013.
Wow, so you really are a newlywed.
Yes.
Awesome. And sitting next to Susan, because you can't see because we're on the radio, is Kate and Malcolm. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Morning.
And you guys were married
September 2nd, 2012.
Wow. So see, we got two newlywed couples in here. It's going to be great. I'm so excited. So tell me, I'll start with Susan first. Susan, kind of tell me a little bit about your wedding. I mean, you don't have to get into great detail, but just tell me about the day. How was it? How was your wedding experience in general? How many people were there?
So our wedding was about 135 people here in Las Vegas, and it was such a great day. We had all our friends and family flying in all across the world, from Germany, from Texas, New York, you name it. They were flying in, driving in. So it was a great day trying to coordinate everyone together to make sure that everyone was at the same location at the same time. It was such a fun experience for our wedding day. It went by very quickly, so my biggest thing is I wish I had more time, because you plan a whole year planning a day and then all of a sudden it's just gone and you're like, what happened? And then here's the check.
Yeah. And did you have your ceremony and reception at the same place?
I did. We looked around different locations to get married at, and the biggest thing for us was how to get everyone at one place. We didn't want to do the expense of renting a bus and shuttling people from point A to point B, so we picked a hotel where the ceremony and the reception was located in one location, so people had the option of staying at the property and then not having to drive anywhere for the wedding location. If they decided to go off property, there was a couple hotel options that were close by. It was in a suburb, so it wasn't on the strip, but there was a couple of places walking distance or close by that they could also pick if they choose to stay there.
And Kate and Malcolm, tell us about your wedding day experience.
We had a great day, and we have friends who still say that our wedding was one of the best ones they've ever been to, the most fun. We went to a lot of different places, too, and looked at, and we went to a lot of bridal shows and talked to a lot of people. And the one thing that Nachum and I decided we definitely wanted is, because we live in Vegas, there's still people out there who think Vegas is still just the Strip. And I've been here for 16 years, and so I wanted people to realize that we have normal lives, and we hardly ever go to the Strip, and we wanted people to see the suburbs and Summerlin and Green Valley. And so the one thing we said was we wanted to find a venue that was away from the Strip and that people could feel like they're in a regular, normal suburb area. And so we did. We found a really nice venue that had a view of the Strip, which was really nice, but it showed that here's the normal neighborhood. You're driving into a regular neighborhood and seeing beautiful trees and grass, and then there was a hotel, one of the local hotels near there, that gave us a great deal. Also, we worked with to get a great deal for people to stay at, and wasn't far. And then, our day, we had a great time. But it's like you said, it goes so quickly, and brides tell each other that all the time. Oh, your day's gonna go so fast, and you don't really believe them, but yeah, it really does. And I said, can we just do our party again?
It does.
I'm at the party again.
And I try to tell our clients too. It goes by really, really fast, and that's why. And I'm going to touch on this a little later. That is why I believe a wedding video is so important. And I'm not here to talk about video because we did the video show, by the way, and you can listen to that, ladies and gentlemen. And you're all nodding your head because I really, really think that that's so crucial to the day.
And you know, it's so interesting. That was one of the big fights that we had with my dad. Is that he did not understand why we needed a wedding video. He's like, you're getting photography, you're getting all this. Why do you need a wedding video? And I kept telling him, it's so important because there's so much going on. We're not going to get to see, and we're not going to remember the ceremony. We're not going to remember things about the party and everything. And it's turned out, it's so funny. It's turned out he's eaten his words because he has said it's his favorite thing is to watch the video. It's his favorite thing to have is this video. And so it really, and Nachum even had said, even if your parents we can't fit that in the budget, we will pay for that video because we knew it was so important.
Yeah, and you can get a video fairly inexpensively.
Absolutely. Yeah. You do not have to go with the highest end company. Companies will work with you. There's no question.
All you need is the snapshots and the video clips of the ceremony and the receptions and the people. And my favorite part was we had people do little quotes. Like we had an opportunity to go and talk to the camera.
Yeah.
And give you your wishes. So it was, instead of doing a guest book, it was verbal wishes of our guests. And it was really fun to see our friends and family say comments and joke and do that kind of thing. Because then when you go back, you're like, oh, look at that. And it was great because I have a lot of family overseas. So we were able to send one of the DVDs overseas, and then they all got to watch it. So all my family who couldn't come into the United States for different reasons were able to be a part of the wedding.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I have to give myself a plug. I demanded the video. That was me.
Made a great choice.
You did.
It's really important. I mean, obviously, I'm the not so newlywed. I've been married 20 years. I could tell you that in my eyes, I wouldn't sell you my wedding video for $1 million because those are my memories from 20 years ago. My dad, who's no longer with us, walking me down the aisle, people clapping, seeing people who are no longer alive, leaving you messages like you talked about, congratulations of love. I mean, it's priceless. And I really, really feel that, like you said, you don't have to go for the big movie, cinema feel for a wedding video. Just have something simple to document your day. Obviously, you don't want to have Uncle Charlie film it, but, there are good companies out there that will work with you in your budget if you just honestly talk to them about it. Which, Kate and Nachum, how many people did you have at your wedding?
You want to take this one? We invited
280, and we had 180 come.
We had a lot of people from overseas in Israel that we needed to invite, and we had hoped they would come, but we knew they weren't going to be able to in the long run. So we ended up with 180.
My next question to you guys has to do with the guest list, because Susan and I talked about it a little bit. We did a pre-interview prior to the show coming on. And I think one of the ways that brides and grooms can save money on their wedding is by cutting back on the guest list. Having been married now, what do you guys, Susan talked about some people that didn't show up, and obviously, what are your feelings on this whole thing? Would you cut the guest list?
We had people who RSVP'd yes and did not come, and now I wish I had thought twice about even inviting them in the first place, because there were people that got cut from our list that we really wanted to be there and we knew would be there. And then there
280 sounds a lot. That was cut back.
That was the cut, yeah.
I think
when you have two big families, it's hard.
I think the original list that Kate had on her own, not including her parents' invites, I want to say it was like 150.
Oh, I trumped that. My list alone, I've been a bridesmaid 13 times.
Wow.
So, and a maid of honor 3 out of those. So I had such a huge list when I came up with everyone I want to invite to my wedding. And I was like, ooh, I got like 200 plus ones on my own. I'm like, this is not going to work.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned the plus ones, because I had always been of the theory for years and years, for years and years and years and years, that you should never invite anybody as a single. Never, ever. They should always be able to bring a plus one. And then we started to plan our wedding, and I swallowed my words. And I said, you know what? they're going to know people at this wedding. They're going to be having a good time and dancing and having a good time with people at this wedding, and they're going to know them. And I can't do plus ones. I just can't, unless they were already engaged or they were dating somebody very serious that we knew they were getting married soon. Otherwise, they just couldn't bring dates. They just couldn't. We couldn't afford it.
No, I think that's a great idea because at our own wedding, we had to do the plus one, and I didn't even know who the plus one was. And sometimes I even tease and say, when I go over video stuff and I talk about the messages, I'm like, we don't go around to the tables and do the messages because we don't want the plus one, excuse me, on your video. Frog voice.
It's interesting that if we had somebody, we had a couple of people where we said, yeah, go ahead and bring a plus one because we knew they weren't going to know anybody else.
Yeah.
And we don't want anybody feeling uncomfortable, especially at a big party like that. You don't want to be the by yourself. But we knew that we had tables where these people have been friends for over 10 years and go and hang out every weekend. Why do you need to bring a date when you're going to be hanging out with those people anyway and having a good time? So everybody was okay with it, and they didn't have a problem. And if they did ask us, we were honest. We said, you know what? We just can't afford it. We're sorry. We want everybody to have a good time. You'll have fun.
We couldn't afford it, but we let everyone do the plus ones. And we found out at the wedding day that a lot of people, the people we wanted came, but their plus ones didn't come. Something came up or something happened or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. So all of a sudden I had the person that we wanted there, but their counterpart did not make it. And I was like, all right, so that we had 10 no-shows, and that was encompassing of that. Like the person we wanted came to the wedding. We were so thankful for it, but their plus one didn't come.
And we had, 6?
We had 6.
We had 6, and a couple of them were people that even had told us on that Friday, Saturday, we will be there. We are excited. We're going to be there, and we never heard from them since. We haven't heard from them.
And that kills your friendship.
It's
Yeah,
horrible.
so what happened?
I lost my best friend.
He did not show. Yeah,
Friend since we were 8 years old.
See, I'm Italian. I'm from New York. And when you RSVP to someone's wedding,
You go.
You go. And here's what happens when you don't show. They'll send the cops to your house. I swear to God, they will send the cops to your house. Because it'll be like, your wedding starts at 6 o'clock. The wedding reception's at 6 o'clock. It's cocktail hour. They're looking for people. If Uncle Paul isn't there at the wedding reception, my mother is on the phone looking for Uncle Paul because Uncle Paul said he'd be there. So we're thinking it's a car accident. We think that, God forbid, something. They will call you. In New York, they will. That's why this problem, correct me if there's any brides and grooms out there listening from New York, but correct me if I'm wrong. Every New York, New Jersey, Connecticut wedding, they show. They show. It's here in Las Vegas. I don't know what it is.
It is
Well,
very
my friend was actually, I grew up in Philadelphia, and I actually asked him to be my best man, and he said that because we lived on the other side of the country, we don't really talk, he didn't feel comfortable being the best man, but he'd be a groomsman. And I said, okay, I understand that. So I named someone else my best man. About 10 days before the wedding, his mom called me. This guy is 33, 34 years old. His mom called me to tell him that he won't be coming because he was having a situation in his life, and he just couldn't handle it. He didn't want to be the downer that weekend. And I was like, you know what? No big deal.
You can respect that.
It's like no big deal. It's a weekend. We're gonna go out. We're gonna have fun at the bachelor party. I don't want to see him, sitting there crying in the corner while we're out having fun. No big deal. So I get an email from him. I'll never forget this because it was 6:30 in the morning when I got home from the bachelor party. Gotta love living in Vegas. And I get an email from him saying, I hope you had fun last night. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. Blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm not in a good state right now. I'm going to sleep. But let's talk. I'm glad you emailed. I'm glad you reached out because he hadn't reached out since then, since his mom had called. And
but at least he never called.
He never called back. Like,
wow.
I don't think it's my necessity to call him. So the friendship's over, and not because I want it to be, because I'm fine with it.
So do you feel like because you guys got married that you did lose, did you lose some friends along the way? Obviously the answer to your question is yes.
His was a major thing. We had a couple people who we had talked to on Friday and Saturday and said they were going to be there and they didn't show up, and we wrote them off pretty much because they never called, they never said a word afterwards, and we pretty much said, you know what, it's just disrespectful. It's not right. We paid for them. That's the thing, is that I don't think people realize, and brides and grooms in the future need to think about this. you really need to look at your guest list and figure out who really respects you and cares about you and wants to be a part of it, and who you really care about and reciprocate. And because you are paying for every single head that is on your reservation, whether they're there or not.
Yeah.
Whether they're there or not.
And it's not even about the money. It's about that day. And if they don't have the respect to come to your wedding after they said yes, to be a part of it in a moment that you thought was so important, that is so important to you and your husband, and they don't have the respect to show up, then that's something like you have to think about. Like, if you're in a situation, that friend is someone that you can count on, and then you can't count on, that destroys that relationship.
I think that's great advice. I think
You
that's great
also
advice.
realize who your true good friends are by the ones that have been there through this whole wedding process and were there, and after you grow, I think, stronger bonds with some people too, because you relate with each other.
I had a girlfriend who I only had 2 bridesmaids, my sister and my childhood friend, because I couldn't pick. I had so many, I've been in so many, and I was like, if I have more than 2, then all of a sudden I'm in trouble. But I had a girlfriend that lived in Vegas, and through the whole wedding process, she was there through every single step, planning my bachelorette party, coming to my bachelorette party, saving the day. And it grew our friendship to the point where I would do anything for her. If she asked for anything, I would drop everything and anything for her, because she was just absolutely amazing through the whole process. And she didn't have to be. She wasn't in the wedding party. She didn't have to do anything, but she just stepped up to the plate for everything, because I had unfortunately had some people who didn't step up to the plate that were supposed to, and she just took the ball and ran with it. She helped me out through every single piece of the business, and I can't ask for a better friend.
So maybe
and it
you
grew
should,
the friendship.
Maybe you should delegate like a friend to kind of, maybe there should be that one person that's not in the bridal party that you can turn to be that support, that support system that you had, which I think is fabulous.
Well,
I think that's really cool.
That's really interesting that you said that, because I was thinking about, like, last night a little bit about what I wanted to talk about on the show. And one of the things that somebody had mentioned to me, what they said, you should have one person who's at the wedding that will handle all the background stuff that you don't want to know about, that your mom doesn't want to know about, that anybody in the bridal party shouldn't know about, that can just see and watch and observe what was going on. And I did. I had a really close girlfriend. She happens to have been trained in being a wedding planner, but she told my mom and I, she says, I'm going to handle anything that I see that's going on if you're okay with it, and let me speak up for you guys. And we said, yes, please. And there were things that could have happened we don't know about, or like I found out about one thing that happened later. I didn't know about it, but because she took care of it. And my mom didn't know, and the bridal party didn't know, my dad didn't know. It was perfect. She took care of it, and I knew we could trust her.
So she wasn't, quote, a wedding planner.
Not for ours, but she was a wedding planning friend.
Got it.
So that she observed stuff for us so that we wouldn't have to deal with it.
And I had a wedding planner for my wedding planner was also one of my best friends in Las Vegas. She came to the wedding with her husband, but her trade, she's a wedding planner here in town. So for my wedding gift, she's like, you're hiring me to do your wedding. She did everything from point A to Z, site selection, helped me with my negotiations, did my timeline and planning, drove Jody crazy.
I know, she's awesome. You can plug her. Gabriella Cody.
Yep, Gabby with By Design, absolutely the best in town, phenomenal here in Las Vegas. And she did everything for me from point A to Z. And weeks after the wedding, she's like, oh yeah, that happened. I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't know about that. Like, oh, this person did this, or things like that. And she just took the ball and ran with it. And she got things done, especially on the wedding day when there was hiccups throughout the day and I didn't know about it. Or if I did know about it, she's like, don't even think about it. And she just went and took care of it for me instead of me going to argue with someone in the hotel staff.
Yeah, there's always hiccups. There's always hiccups the day of. Like, we did not expect wind. We thought our chuppah was going to be fine. We had it all beautifully set. Michelle, the Flowers of Michelle, like, had everything beautifully set. We were ready to go. And the next thing we know, my mom is running into the bathroom saying to me, we need 4 people to hold the poles of the chuppah because the wind just picked up. Okay, pick them. I don't care. Just go. Like, there's always a hiccup. I almost said it like, you know. There's always a hiccup. But if you have people that are there watching things that are going on, everything is fine. And you don't even remember it.
So the two of you would highly recommend to any bride who's listening to have an event planner.
It's well worth the money. It is so well worth the money.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting. Like, a good venue will have a great event planner, wedding planner, etc. And Lindsay, who we worked with, she's now at a different venue, but we absolutely adored her. We emailed with her almost every day. She never, she just always made sure everything was spot on. She answered every question. She was always so happy, and it was just great. Like, she always made my parents feel good too.
But she was the venue planner. So
So
her role was really just to make sure food, beverage, everybody got it. She wasn't like,
what's
like
interesting?
your friend that you talked about.
No, but she didn't act like just like a venue planner. She really was a wedding planner. She came to our wedding rehearsal at our synagogue.
Oh.
And she explained to everybody how the hill works at the venue and how everything, she wrote down everybody that was going to be involved. Like, she really was like a real true wedding planner. She called our vendors for us sometimes to make
lucky.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
We got very lucky. Like, she just was phenomenal.
That's very lucky, because at my venue, my event planner or convention service manager that got assigned to me left and went to another venue 3 or 4 weeks before our wedding. So then we got handed off to someone on their leadership team at the hotel who took on our wedding, but she's more, the person that was in charge is more oversees the team, doesn't really do the actions of the team. So she answered my questions and got things done, but she didn't. She's like, here's the BEO, here's your contract, this is what I need to know, and that's it. So for me, having a wedding planner was phenomenal, because I didn't have an event manager at my property that was, okay, let me double check and help and this and things like that. She came up to our room right 10 minutes before the ceremony started. She said, okay, we got to get going. And actually rushed us so quickly that I actually forgot my flowers. And I walked down the aisle without my flowers, because I was such in a rush, in a hurry, that because our event manager was just like, all right, let's get it done. Check, 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 check. It was more, she was like, let's get this party started, but not in a way of
not in a good,
the bride focus.
You talked about when we a checklist that like maybe every bride should make herself a little checklist.
Oh, yes.
Right before she walks down the aisle or something like that. Kind of explain that.
Because even with an amazing wedding planner and everything that's going on, no one can be in two places at one time. So my wedding planner was down at the ceremony site making sure everyone was standing and doing everything correctly. And then I had 20 people in my suite trying to get me ready, and I'm running 5 minutes late. And my husband told me, he's like, if you're past 5 minutes past 4, then I'm coming up to get you. Aww. So I'm like, I gotta get ready.
No. That's not why we were late, though. Our wedding was half an hour late, but it wasn't our fault.
Why?
We were ready to go.
Why were you half
It was
an hour
because they couldn't get the people to go from the clubhouse down to the golf course because it was hot out, and nobody wanted to go down, sit down outside to the golf course. And if they could get those people down there, then we could have started on time, but they couldn't get them to shuttle down there. They wouldn't leave the clubhouse in the air conditioning.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, those Midwestern people.
That's funny. Yeah, for us, it was just so much stuff going on in the suite for the bride. Just as a bride yourself, you got your hair, your makeup, and I was lucky. I've been to weddings where the bride has to go to Macy's to get their makeup done and go to the salon and get their hair done. I just said, no way. Like, I have too many people and too many fingers in the pot. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I know, like, my sister would be late or won't show up on time, or the car service. Like, there's always something happening. So I had someone come to the room and do our hair and our makeup, which saved a lot of time. It really wasn't that much more expensive.
No,
actually,
it is
probably
not.
Cheaper than having to go out to go somewhere, which saved us a great amount of money.
Our people came to my hair and makeup people came to our hotel suite.
Yeah.
And did a couple of my bridesmaids and me, and it saves so much time. It really does, and it's more relaxing.
Even
That's
with that,
awesome.
I ran out of time.
It's just
So there's something right there.
I wish mine would have come to me. I had to go to get my hair done. So
All you have to do is shave, but we'll get into your advice in a little bit, because Malcolm has some advice for the grooms out there. So we didn't forget you guys. But I think that's great. I think it's so true. I think having everything done in one place, and like instead of, like you said, driving to Macy's or driving to the beauty salon with 6 girls, it does save you time. And I really think that people should, obviously you're here. That's why you're here. You're giving them advice. So that's awesome. Did you guys feel like, here's a question. Did you feel like you were being like pulled a lot that night? Like the vendors need you for this, the photographer needs you there, the video guy. Did you kind of feel?
Yes.
Explain a little bit.
Yes. It's funny watching the video. We're going back to the video. I said to Nachum, I didn't even know that song was played. I said, I had no idea they even played that song. I had no idea that I want to be there. I wanted to dance to that song. I wanted to be there. But instead, we were pulled for the video, or we were pulled for pictures with people, or we really felt like we were pulled a lot, and which made, and I said to Nachum, I wish we had more time to dance, because I really wanted to dance a lot. And he said, well, people got to dance a lot. We just weren't there.
Mm-hmm. With me, I honestly didn't have to deal too much with the vendors the day of my wedding. Gabby was there, and she just dealt with everything. The vendors showed up. She got them coordinated, situated. I had a good friend for our wedding gift. He did our candy bar, so she worked all that out. The florist, the DJ, everything that morning of my wedding planner took care of. So far as logistics on the wedding day, I didn't have to see anything or deal with anything. She just told me the photographer's coming up to your room to take pictures at this time. This is when your makeup artist is coming to your room. The hair girl's coming up at this time, and that was it. And I was, so far as logistic parts, didn't have to deal with it. As far as like the wedding day, definitely felt like I was getting more dragged around with my family. Like my in-laws wanted photos with these people. My mother wanted photos with these people. We took so many photos that I realized I didn't get a picture of me, my sister, my mom, and my dad.
You know, it's so interesting.
I was like, I got a picture of my mom and dad and me and my sister, my mom, dad, my uncle and me, but not just my immediate family.
There is no picture at all taken of me and my sister.
And why?
Just the two of us. Well, when the bridesmaids were sent back up to the clubhouse and the immediate family stayed to take pictures, my sister went up with them, and nobody stopped her from going up with them. So we never got a picture. And then the entire night, dancing and having a good time, she was hanging out with our cousins and playing. And so we never got a picture, just the two of us.
Yeah.
Do you guys think a checklist
Yes.
would have, like, if you would have made
Yes.
a checklist of shots for your
Oh,
photographer?
I did that. My photographer was, I had
would
Alt
have.
F as my photographer.
They're awesome.
Alt F is
Awesome.
absolutely the best in town. And they
Yep.
gave me a checklist. They're like, all right, what are your must-have photos? And I gave them the list. But even on
wish
the
I
day
had.
of your wedding, it doesn't,
wish I had.
that checklist is great. But if you have someone saying, I need this, I need this, I need this, and then you have 10 or 15 people wanting pictures, 'cause it's a day that it's important to everybody, not just yourself, but it's important to your family, your brother, your sisters, your grandparents, your uncles, your nieces, your nephews. It's all encompassing. So everyone wants a specific photo. So even with the checklist, I think you're out of luck, because everyone's going to be piping up and wanting to grab and pull you into different directions.
Unless it's on your mind, unless you know for a fact
And
that
it's
you
not.
did not get a picture of you and your two best friends from high school or something like that.
It's on your mind
Like,
after
yeah.
the fact.
Yeah,
You're like,
that's-
oh.
yeah.
If you, I think having the checklist though is a smart idea, because when you're not in that moment and in the middle of the party and everything and trying to find that person and where are they, or they're trying to find you, where's the bride, I think it's nice to have that list for the photographers, because then they at least have something to follow somewhere or another, so that they can say, did you know you didn't get a picture with your sister yet? Oh my gosh, no, let's go grab her. Let's go, let's do it. But I mean, I can see how it would change. The list would change throughout the evening, but at least you'd have a set base, and it's people that you would think about as you're making your
90% of the photos we got
had.
that we wanted, we got. So I'm very happy that 90% of the pictures of that wedding day we had because of that checklist. The photographer got majority of it, but is just so much happening, and there's so many moments and activities, and you only have like an hour for your photos, like your formal photo shoot after your ceremony. It's not enough time because you want to do so much, and so.
Would you recommend, like, say somebody got married like earlier in the day, then had like a little break in the afternoon, and then had a reception at night? Do you think that's like a good flow to have, so you can get those, you can spend more time maybe getting romantic pictures? I know it's hard. Kate's shaking her head.
No, you lose the momentum.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. You know what's so funny is that Nachum always makes fun of me. I still watch 4 Weddings on TLC. I'm like obsessed with that show. And like I always compare like our stuff, what we did or what, we were planning on doing and everything. And it's so funny when you watch that show and you see the separation of time and the people that visit, like go to the ceremony and then they have like 2 hours off and then they have to find something to do in that 2 hours before they go to the reception. It's such a long lull that it's like you said, you lose that excitement of the day if you No, I think it really should always be ceremony and then cocktail hour and then.
And the bride and groom would miss their cocktail hour.
Yes.
Then,
Oh,
because
yeah.
they're-
Don't
you
ever
don't.
plan on being at your cocktail hour. No.
We missed ours. I think. Yeah, right, Pat. We missed ours. Yeah, we missed our.
We missed
cocktail.
ours.
Yeah.
The one thing I still want to do is a bridal session. So our photographer said, you can do a bridal session. So after the wedding's over, after you settle down and take some time, put your dress back on, get your hair done, get your makeup done, come to their studio or go to the location or do something like that and get your romantic photos and do your photos like that. It's still on my checklist to do. We haven't done it yet because we're so busy. It is an additional cost. So that's something you have to think about. Like, I think
that's great.
It's on our bucket list to do. I don't know if or when we'll be able to do it, but it's something that I never even thought of until our photographer mentioned it. He's like, you can do your photos, do all your family photos, do all your portraits, and do all that during your cocktail hour, and then come back and do the fun photos with your wedding dress. Do the dress after that. Do a whole bunch of crazy things like that.
That's funny.
Between the two of you.
I didn't even think about that. I wore my wedding dress one more time. After that, I wore it for Halloween. I was a zombie bride for Halloween
That's awesome.
that next month. But after that, I had my dress preserved right away.
What about
Oh, mine's not preserved. Mine's still sitting. I had two because we did a barbecue the next day. So a big
That's
thing.
right. You had the barbecue.
Yes. And then we're going back to New York this July to do another barbecue to celebrate our wedding because there's just so many people. Because I would have had 300 people at my wedding day and I had $150, $200 a pop. You can't afford that. So the next day my mother-in-law was gracious. She's like, all right, well, let's do a barbecue at my house, and she had it catered, and it was just an open Facebook invite, and we had another 150 separate people that came on a flow for the whole day, and it was people in our industry that came. So I had my coworkers and colleagues and neighbors and friends that are close, but I knew that if they came to the wedding, they wouldn't appreciate it. So
what a fun thing to do. So if you're stuck in that dilemma of inviting people, like, you've got the dilemma of like who you can invite to the wedding and the reception, you can always have like you did, like have a barbecue or an after party and open house and then just invite those people.
And it's interesting, in the Jewish religion, there actually is a week of that afterwards. We didn't have it because we're not religious, but in the religious community, it's they're called Sheva Brachot, and it's where I think that's what it's called. Is that what it's called? I'm not sure now if that's what it's called, actually. But it's every night for that following week. There's people that host dinners at their homes, and you invite, and they ask the bride and groom, who would you like to invite to this dinner? And the purpose is for them to be able to invite people that they couldn't invite to the wedding, and so they can celebrate that week with them, and so the bride and groom can relax before they go away on a honeymoon or before they start their lives together, really. But it's so they can invite these people that didn't get to come to the wedding.
That's actually kind of cool. That's actually, especially.
I don't know if that's what it's called. I don't think it's called that. Can't remember what it's called. I apologize.
But it's amazing because I spent more quality time with people at that barbecue than I did actually at my wedding reception because it was 6-7 hours, and I got to sit down and have a conversation. There wasn't all this stuff going on around us. It was just, we didn't have to think about, okay, I have to go cut the cake here. I have to go do this. It was just us, a glass of wine.
That's
just
so nice.
Sitting out in the backyard and just having a great conversation with just a group of friends. And it just went all night long. It was a 6-hour chunk, but then we didn't end until the
we had a
night.
Brunch the next day. My sister threw us a brunch the next day at one of the suites at the hotel for out-of-town people to come and have before they leave town and everything, which was nice. And that was the time we got to sit and relax with people. And then we found out that like my mom's boss had started a sing-along before the wedding started because it was running half an hour late. So they yelled to the band, can you play this? Can you play this? And we're like, we didn't even know like a lot of things that were going on. So it was time for us to be able to like relax and everything. That's another thing you want to do. You always want to have it's always nice to have the next day kind of a get together where it's casual before people leave town or anything, just because you can then sit and chat and see people and talk and sit with your glass of wine and actually relax.
Yeah. that would be, and I know Pat would agree. I know Pat would agree with me. That would be my biggest regret. I regret the fact that we didn't have time after our wedding because we left early in the morning to go on our honeymoon. We went right from, getting married to the hotel. We had a party in our suite. We got no sleep and jumped on a plane.
It's too much.
It is too much. And I would recommend you not doing that. Like if there's a brides and grooms listening, don't do that. Don't go on the honeymoon the night of. Give it a few days. Did you guys go on your honeymoons right away?
We
went 3 months later.
Okay.
Because Kate's a teacher. We waited for winter
Christmas break.
Okay.
Winter break, and we went and
it was amazing. And we had something to look forward to too, right?
The honeymoon was amazing. The trip there.
Where'd you go?
We went to Hawaii on a cruise,
nice.
and we had some issues getting to LA. Was our port to fly out of US to Hawaii, and we had some issues getting there. And
because it was winter break, it didn't let us bother us.
well-
But instead of like zooming right out of town after our wedding, it was good.
well, that's not what I was gonna say.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was
Sorry.
gonna say by the time we got to LAX and we're sitting there waiting for our plane, we really weren't talking to each other. But once we got on the plane and sat down in first class and they brought that first drink, all of a sudden, oh, we're in love. Oh,
You know,
we're so happy.
It's if you if we had left though right after the wedding that next morning to go on our cruise,
It would have been worse.
It would have been a lot worse.
Okay.
I got sick right after my wedding, so we didn't do a honeymoon, but we took the week off. So both of us decided we're like, all right, we're gonna have our wedding. We're gonna take the whole week off because we had friends and family that flew in from Germany and Europe and Wisconsin and all over the place, and we wanted to spend time with them too because
Right.
it's Vegas, so they or any location they wanted to stay a few days longer just to sightsee and do things like that. I'm like, oh, we want to spend time with them too. So we're like, all right, and we built a house. So our honeymoon was
I remember.
we moved into a new home. We built a house a couple months prior to the wedding, and then literally the day after the wedding, after the barbecue on Monday morning, I woke up and I had a fever and I caught the worst. I was unconscious the entire week. I was out sick. Went to the doctor 3 times. Got a Z-Pack. Got amoxicillin. Like we couldn't get better. Both of us got sick because you're the whole week leading up to your wedding and your wedding day and that barbecue. You're not sleeping. You're not eating. You're not resting, and you're trying and getting pulled in all these different directions. You're stressed out in a good way, but you're still stressed out. Your body just crashes. And a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of friends who've gotten married, all of them, they go on their honeymoons and they're sick. They're in their hotel rooms. They don't feel good. They have to go to the doctor and they're in a different country or different area and they're uncomfortable and they're not enjoying their honeymoon because their bodies just crashed on them after the wedding. There's too much go, go, go. Your body can't handle it.
So what do you recommend? What do you recommend? You're the married girls. I mean, how do we alleviate the stress the week leading to your wedding? Because so many girls get sick. I mean, do you wish you had more? I know, Susan, you're a workout fiend. Do you recommend like maybe going to the gym, scheduling some me time? What do you recommend for
do things that make you happy? For me, I do triathlons and marathons, so I love to get on my bike and just go for a bike ride or do things that you do that puts you in your Zen moments.
So schedule that time the week of your wedding. Don't because I know for me, I'm the same way. I think working out relieves a lot of stress. So maybe the girls should go to the gym, walk the dog, do something so you don't get so stressed.
I think no matter what, you're going to get stressed, though. It's your wedding. It's all those moving parts. Even with a wedding planner or doing it by yourself, it's unavoidable. But there's things you can do to make it less
stressful leading up to the wedding. Just getting out there and breathing and moving.
But wait on your honeymoon. I agree. And then it gives you something to look forward to. We're waiting for our 1-year anniversary, and we're gonna. We'd like to RV, so we're gonna get a camper and just go out and just do what we want to do, but save the money for it too, because a wedding is so expensive. Even though we had help from our families to cover some of the costs, you still have a lot of out-of-pocket cost that comes from the bride and groom, even if you don't realize it. So save your money and take your time and do what you want to do and do it right.
Your wedding cake. Did you taste it? Did you eat it? Mm-hmm. You did? Mm-hmm. Did you eat your wedding cake?
An hour after my wedding was over. I actually had to go to the banquet manager and say, is there any cake left in the back? And she's like, oh, really? And they were loading up and packing up all our tables and our chairs and everything in our reception hall. And we went back to just grab some stuff. And I went and cornered a banquet manager. I'm like, I haven't had my wedding cake yet. And she went back and got it to me in a styrofoam box, like a takeout box. And that's how we had our wedding cake. We were just running around.
Well, obviously we did the cake cutting, and we had that bite, but we had cupcakes. Oh. So we had, I think we shared a cupcake or something. I don't remember.
I had my own cupcake.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
People spend all this time on the cake.
We also,
I wasn't one of those grooms that didn't eat. I ate.
Yeah, he ate.
I wasn't hungry at the end of the night.
He ate. But we also had an ice cream sundae bar where people can make their own ice cream sundaes. And he and I both tried to go over to the ice cream sundae bar, and the line was so long. And when everyone was like, no, just jump the line, you're the bride and groom. We're like, no, we don't want to do that to people. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have ice cream, but we had cupcakes and stuff. And then we actually did do the freezing of our cake.
Oh,
we did that too.
And we took it out, and I called or I didn't call it. Yeah, I called a friend to ask, what do I do? Like, when do I take it out so that it doesn't taste disgusting or whatever that she says, take it out, a couple days before and put it back in your fridge and it'll be good. And it was really good, actually. We were surprised. People were like, you really did that? We're like, it was good.
Wow.
It was really
Did you do
good.
it?
Yeah, we did it too. We saved the top part. The top part's
Yeah.
huge. It could feed like 8 or 10 people, our top of our wedding cake.
Yes.
So we saved it. We have a big deep freezer, so it's in our deep freezer right now. So we'll wait until October. And our in-laws got us a bottle of Silver Oak, like a Magnum, and had everyone in the wedding party sign it. So we're gonna wait until our 1 year, pop the bottle, eat the cake, and whoever came to our wedding that's a year later that's still gonna be around, that's close, we're gonna invite them all over and have a party.
Nice.
So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, my parents and sister were in town. And it happened to be that week of our 1 year anniversary. So we took the cake out and we all had some of it together and we all said it was just as good. If you wrap it correctly and you take it and put it in the fridge a couple days before, then
Thank God for Pinterest.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah, Pinterest. Did you guys look to Pinterest for inspiration on your weddings? No.
I did. I looked at Pinterest. I never bought a magazine. I didn't really watch the shows. I was never one of those brides that like, when you're 2 years old, you dream about your wedding. So
I wasn't either.
So
I'm sorry. Wait. I'm so surprised because you two had such amazing, great weddings that you guys never. Wow.
No,
this is mind blowing for me.
I never dreamed of my wedding or anything. In fact, the only thing that I always ever said growing up though is that if I was going to get married, I wanted to get married at Disney World.
Oh.
I wanted to get married at Disney World and I wanted to get married on the Fantasy Island there and come in, but that was the only thing I ever thought about for my wedding. I never thought about anything else.
Yeah. I never planned a wedding. Like, I went to weddings and I see the girls at the altar. They're like, I dreamed of you walking down, never saw your face, and now here you are. And I'm like, oh, that must have been nice. Because for me, I'm like, when I met my husband, it was just amazing. But I was like, I never dreamed about the wedding day. It's just like, I'm like, that's a great thing to have. But
no, it's funny because when I dreamed of Disney World, there wasn't even a groom.
Wow.
It was me.
I just wanted to go.
Princess dress.
World on the island.
I was in a princess dress.
That answers so many questions. A year and a half later.
Oh my. Let me ask you guys, did you guys do sit-down dinners or buffets?
Sit down.
Sit down. We had a plated dinner.
What made you decide to have a plated dinner?
My dad said, absolutely, I will not have people come from all over the world and have to stand at a buffet at a wedding. No, absolutely not. It'll be sit down. That's the right way to do it. But which is funny because our rehearsal dinner or our out-of-towners dinner, rehearsal dinner, whatever, was at a buffet. But I guess it was different. So, yeah. Sit down. My dad, he said absolutely not.
Sit downs actually ended up being cheaper too.
Yeah, it is. That was a big thing
cheaper.
Because they control the portions that way. You can't say, oh, give me more. I guess someone could send it back and say, no, I want more. I've never seen it done. But so the banquet told us that you do sit down because it's cheaper. And we said, well, that's what we wanted.
Mm-hmm. It was a cost factor for us. And it was more room. So with the buffet, you have to have more space for the buffet line.
Yeah, there's no space.
And just for our count, we weren't sure how many we were going to have. So if we did a buffet, then you lose space in the venue. So there's tables that you're going to lose and dance floor space you're going to lose. So it made a big difference on that part. And cost. It's definitely a lot cheaper to do a plated. And it looks nicer. Presentation is nicer.
Oh, yeah. There's no question.
And everybody gets served at the same time, which is nice. Because at a buffet, you start off with the head table and the parents' table. And by the time you get to the last table, the parents and the bride and groom and the head part, they've already eaten already. So there's that time thing, which allows the bride and groom to go around and say hi to everybody at their tables. But then again, some people are eating. So, but I agree. I would much rather do a plated.
Here's another thing that we thought about too is that we had a bunch of people that keep kosher at our wedding. And if you do a buffet, they still are getting their plates that are covered in the saran wrap and their plastic, they still have to have their koshered plates. So things are different. It's just, we wanted all our kosher friends to feel just as welcome as everyone else. So we made sure that that their meals, our kosher caterer had the same plates. He went out and they bought the same plates, same silverware, same everything, same designs as everybody else's. Well, we bought it, but they went and found it. And so everybody had the same beautiful sit-down look, no matter if they kept kosher or not. And we thought that was really important, that everybody at the room was eating together, feeling the same together, that it was, they weren't separated. And Jewish families, Jewish weddings, they can be a huge problem because of things like that. So buffet doesn't really necessarily work if you're doing a Jewish wedding where you have a lot of kosher people.
If there was one important thing that you didn't think was so important at the time you planned your wedding, is there that one thing that you think that wasn't important, but now when you look at your wedding, it was a big deal? Is there anything?
If someone hands you an envelope full of cash, please remember who it was, because you will get in trouble with your in-laws when you can't think who to make out the thank you note to. And to this day, a year and a half later, it still comes up at family dinners who gave the envelope.
Wow. Did the person not put a card in there?
No. What happened was it was actually when I was going toward the ice cream line, and it was a huge line, and I'm like, well, I can't wait in there. And I was by myself, and the photographer was coming to grab me to go do a picture with my family. So she comes up, and as she's coming up and pulling on me, someone walked up. I can't even remember if it was a friend of her family's or a member of the family, and hands me an envelope. And I said, thank you very much, and I put it in my pocket, and I couldn't even tell you what he looked like.
But that's his fault for not putting it in a card.
You know what?
You're going to get a ton of envelopes that day.
When you do something like that, when you don't put it in the card box, you probably don't want to be noticed. That's why you do it. Here you go. Thank you. You probably want to be anonymous.
But my point is...
Or did I even say, hey, Nachum, nice to meet you. I'm Joe Smith. I'm friends with Kate's dad, and hand you an envelope. But it was literally, here you go, and that was the end of the conversation.
But he put cash in an envelope, is what he did. Yeah. He didn't, put a piece of paper in it saying from Susan and... Okay.
And they didn't even say, hi, I'm Joe Smith. I'm your father-in-law's friend.
How are you supposed to know? I mean, his fault.
I couldn't even... And that's kind of my defense, but...
Yeah, it's totally... And you have every right, because that's his fault. Because I know, when cards were... Especially at showers. See, I'm a New York Italian, as I've said. And in my world, you don't bring gifts to a wedding. You give envelopes. Everything's envelopes. So when my shower, if a card fell off a gift, we were very adamant about writing somewhere on the box.
Keep your list.
Yeah, keep your list.
We still have gifts that, unfortunately, we don't know who they came from. They showed up to the house, and I'm like, this is really, really awesome, but they didn't put a card with it, or it came from the item came from the store itself, and you call and they won't tell you, and I'm like,
that sucks. How soon did you guys do your thank you cards?
I did them right away. I tried to do them right away.
Oh, I haven't done mine yet.
Susan! She's still getting gifts, that's why.
Well, I have them on my kitchen counter. We're actually, tonight, after this, I have to go back home to get them done. My mother-in-law is furious with me because I haven't done them. And it's not that I didn't want to get them done right away, but things happened. We got sick the week after the wedding, and then I actually took another job, so I put my notice in, got another job. My husband got sick. I got my wisdom teeth pulled. All of a sudden, it was like... It's here.
There was life. There's
here.
life going around.
Yeah, life
and you're
caught
okay.
up with us.
I mean, you're not even a year yet. So you're a few... How many months?
October. So a few months. We're a few months since the wedding. So it's going to happen within the next week. They're going to get done and be sent out. So
you hear that? You hear that, family? It's coming. They're coming.
They're coming.
But what's funny is that etiquette says that a bride has a year. I use that line on my mother. Don't ever tell a Jewish mother that you have a year to write thank you notes, because she will flip out on you. My mother was not happy when I used that line on her, but I pretty much did them. I started them, I would say a couple weeks after the wedding, I started writing them. But my thing was, I didn't want to just sit down and write thank yous. I wanted to write each one personally. I wanted very impersonal, and I wanted to make sure that I wrote down, thank you for coming to Vegas, or thank you for doing this. It was so great to see you, and they look so nice. And I wanted each one so personal, and it took me a while to write each one. Yeah. That my mom said that even people who she works with in Michigan, that people were saying to her, wow, her thank you notes were so nice and everything. And I said, good, because that was the point. That's why it took me so long to write them. But thank you notes are one of those things where you have to do them. Don't rely on email. Do not rely on email. It is personal. These people came to your wedding. They flew from out of town to come to you. They spent the day with you. Do not do email. Do not thank people on email. Write a handwritten, beautiful card, thank you card, and it's the right thing to do. Since they took the time to be with you, you can respond in a nice way.
I agree. And that's what I'm doing. Like I did 30 thank you cards already, and it took me 5 hours to do 30.
It takes a long
because
time. It does. It took me a long time.
That's great that you're putting that much thought into it. And like
it's
you said, people
extremely
do
important.
notice. People
they
notice
do
and appreciate
notice.
it.
They do notice, and people notice if you don't get one. Like if they don't get one, they will mention it to you after like that year or whatever. Or they'll remember, like Nachum still remembers somebody who he gave a gift to many years ago and she never said thank you for it. And he remembers and he said, did you write a thank you to this person? I want to make sure we wrote thank you. Yes, I've gone down the checklist. So it's important.
So let me ask you, now that your day is done and it's over and you've had time to breathe and look at videos and pictures and things like that, if you had to do something all over again, what would you do, Susan?
Run.
I said run. But I'm asking Susan.
For me, my thing that I remember the most of my wedding day was we were so busy getting ready in our suite and rushing out that I walked out without my bridesmaids and myself forgot my flowers. They were sat in the bathroom in my hotel suite, and I got down to the progressional line, at the hotel at the reception site, and it was a 10-minute walk back to the room, and I'm like, I'm already here. And I didn't realize I didn't have my flowers until I put my arm around my father, and then I went to go like this. Move my hand and look down. I'm like, I didn't have it, and it had my grandmother's rosary on it, and I had 2 pictures of my grandparents that passed away, my mom's side and my father's side, wrapped around it. And I really wanted to walk down the aisle with it, and I didn't. And by the time I realized where it was, and it was just too late, and the music already started for me to walk, I was like, and then my girls didn't have their flowers either, and then a couple of the gentlemen in the wedding didn't have their boutonnieres, and it's just because you're so busy and you're trying to get your hair, your nails, your makeup done. I really wish I had someone read off a checklist right before we walked out of the room. Do you have your veil? Even it sounds stupid.
No, it's not.
Do you have your veil? Check. Is it on? Veil on? Check. Is your necklace on? Check. Is your rings, like what your jewelry you want on? Check, check, check. Just have someone read a checklist out right before you walk out of the room. Do you have your flowers in your hand? Check. Because that's the only thing that's like one of the things I remember that stand out in my weddings. Like I walked down the aisle without my flowers, and some people didn't notice it, and then some people did. And I had the flowers immediately after the ceremony, but I was like, oh, I don't have my flowers. Yeah. And it was too late. It was just too late for me. So I would definitely it sounds silly, but just have a verbal checklist. Someone read off a list for different things that you must have before you start down that aisle. And for the groom too.
Okay. Kate, Nachum, what would you do differently? What would you do different?
There were a couple things. I wish I had a crystal ball to know, guest list wise, like if I knew then what I know now, I really would have pushed to invite a couple people that I had really, really, really wanted there and that I couldn't, and I had to cut them from the list. And then I would have had other people not on the list that I could have put. I really wish I had done that. I mean, that was really hurtful to me. There's a couple people that was really hurtful that they didn't come. And I have other people that I really know would have had a blast if they had been there. The other thing was I really wish I had, speaking of flowers, I preserved my dress, but my plan was I really wanted to preserve my flowers because my bouquet was so beautiful and unique. And I knew there was a company that did it, and I didn't look enough into it. I really wish I had preserved my flowers. And instead, they got stuck in a box at the bottom of a box and got ruined. So I wish I had done that. And then I wish we had started on time. If I had known that people weren't going down the clubhouse, I wish we would have found a way to start on time, because I just think that's not, half an hour is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not and it's not respectful to your guests.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it really throws off that whole timing.
Yeah. And especially when people think it's because of the bride that's happening and the bride's ready to go and you're wondering why you're waiting. I think those things, but again, those are little things. Sure. They're little things. If you have your list of things that you've been doing and you're planning ahead of time and doing everything's going to work out fine.
Mm-hmm. And Nachum, I know you had some groom's advice.
Give your advice.
We want to hear this.
Not just for grooms, but I think it's important for married men as well, and it'll lead to a happy life. You gotta live by the 3 shs. show up, shut up, shell out. If you always remember that, you have a pain-free engagement, and it'll lead to a lot less stress. And when it comes to something I would have done different, to me, we had the perfect wedding. I wouldn't change a thing.
We had a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, I want to thank our 3 guests today for coming in and sharing their wedding day experience and, giving you guys a little bit more insight into what happens on the wedding day. So I want to thank them very, very much. Thank you guys so much for taking the time from your day to be here to help others. If you would like to reach out to me, Jody Harris, I am on Twitter. I'm at Jody Harris on Twitter. Of course, on Facebook, you can always go to Sight and Sound Events. And I could use your help. It's the end of the show here. I could use your help, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening to this show and you got some valuable information out of it, please write a review. It really does help the algorithms out there that are floating around the iTunes world, so the iPod world. We could really use that. So with that, I want to thank you guys for listening. You guys have a fantastic one. And I am Jody Harris, the Sight and Sound Events, the CEO of Fun. We'll catch you later. Thank you.